We're still counting down our favorite stuff from last year, and last week we gave the protagonist a chance to shine, but now it's time to bring on the bad guys. Today we're looking at who did the most despicable deeds, who thwarted the heroes at every turn, and who just straight up creeped us out the most in 2018. So let's start with number 10, The Venetian. Mark Millar's new series, Magic Order, follows a secret organization of magicians who protect the world from dark creatures that no mere human can see, but now a group of rebels have stepped up to try and overthrow them by tearing through every single member of the team one by one. And while most members of this evil organization tend to spend the entire series just standing around gloating and not really doing a whole lot, they don't really have to, because their star player, the Venetian, is all the assassin they need. They're basically a Terminator of magic, unstoppable, tearing through each of these master sorcerers with ease, and they're not afraid to show you how dark the world of magic can get. They can summon monsters from children's nightmares to kill you, drown you on dry land, or just capture your soul in a Polaroid and then rip it apart. The Venetian is sinister, mysterious, and so powerful that when they show up, you know someone isn't making it out of here alive. Number 9, KG Beast. KG Beast had always been a sort of odd villain for Batman. He was a master assassin who had pushed Batman to his limits in the past, but we hadn't really seen anything memorable from him in a while, with his arguably silly name making newer audiences forget his pretty impressive legacy. But this year, when he came back and shot Nightwing, it forced Batman, who was already in a pretty volatile state, to go into a spiral that he had no intention of pulling out of. This all resulted in Batman storming off into the icy unknown for a one-on-one match with the Beast, where Batman didn't kill him, but let's just say he came closer than Batman ever has. And for the Beast to push Batman to that point, he ended up breaking Batman in a way that few other villains have. Number 8, the Red Goblin. Norman Osborn has always been a rather unpredictable threat for Spider-Man, but this year when he bonded with the Carnage symbiote, he turned into madness incarnate. He didn't have any grand schemes this time, he just wanted pure revenge, and he now had power unlike anything he'd possessed before. He tore Spider-Man's life apart in a matter of hours, striking out at everyone in his life, beating down every one of Peter's friends, and the unique combination of Goblin formula and alien symbiote somehow removed the only weaknesses the two of them had, so Pete couldn't even come up with a plan to stop him. And in the end, he left another lasting impact on Peter's life as he ended up killing one of Spidey's longest running supporting characters, permanently cementing that Norman Osborn is forever Spider-Man's greatest foe. Number 7, the Black Barn from Gideon Falls. Okay, this one is weird because the Black Barn isn't your typical villain in that it's not an actual person, and we also still don't really know what it is. All we know is that it pops up and, well, bad things happen. Okay, I know that sounds vague, but unlike superhero comics, not everyone knows what goes on in a book like Gideon Falls, and I'm not about to spoil that for you. Go read this book. It's really darn good. But what I can say is that the mystery of what the barn is adds to its intimidation. You can feel that this is something unholy. This is something pure evil. It feels like something apocalyptic that can't be fought against, and when it appears, you feel like just looking at will cause you to descend into madness. This entry might still be a mystery, but it still makes the list because nothing else this year just exuded a sense of raw evil quite like the Black Barn. Number 6, Bane. A while back, Batman had to go to Bane's prison, and to make a long story short, basically ended up ticking him off like Batman never has before. Bane came to Gotham seeking revenge, but Batman was able to defeat him. At least, for now. Because this year, we were all reminded that Bane was an expert strategist with a long memory. Now, if I can be honest with you, I kind of feel a little bad putting Bane this high on the list because so far we've only seen the start of his plan, but I will never forget the colossal gut punch I felt when, after Batman suffered a huge emotional loss, we cut to reveal Bane sitting atop his throne, surrounded by all the villains who had been tormenting Batman over the past year, as we realized everything has been according to his plan, and he's just getting started. Number 5, Lord Dracon. If you've watched this channel for long enough, then you know I honestly have no attachment to Power Rangers. Nothing against them, it just isn't for me, and I can't find myself getting emotionally invested in them. However, this year, all I could hear was people telling me how good the giant Power Rangers crossover event Shattered Grid was, and yeah, you were right, you win. It actually was really darn good. And a lot of what made it work was the villain, Lord Dracon. An evil version of a ranger from an alternate future, this year he led an army across time and space to collect the power he needed to remake reality into his own paradise. This event literally started with him killing off one of the rangers, something that took me completely by surprise, and it led up to him actually destroying countless universes. I think it's safe to say that out of all the villains on this list, none of them left more destruction in his wake than Lord Dracon. Number 4, the Batman Who Laughs. This might surprise some people that the Batman Who Laughs isn't any higher on the list, because I asked you guys on Twitter who was your favorite villain this year, and almost everyone chose him. But I couldn't bring myself to put him any higher because, despite being incredibly popular this year, he actually wasn't really in that many books. He was at the tail end of Dark Knight's Metal at the start of the year, then he popped up randomly here or there in a couple other books, and then he got his own miniseries in December, and that was kind of it. However, I do really think it speaks to the impact that he made in 2018 that despite being in so few books, so many people still remember him like he was everywhere. Over the years, Batman has gone from world's greatest detective to walking deus ex machina who is prepared for everything and everyone at all times. And the Batman Who Laughs basically says, yeah, that, but evil. He's a madman who has the perfect way not just to defeat the heroes, but to bring them into a world of chaos that only the sickest minds could dream of. This is a guy who got the Joker and Batman to team up because it was the only way to beat him. A threat that big totally deserves a spot on this list. Number 3, Null. Okay, so you know the Venom symbiote? Imagine if that was created by Space Satan. Null is an ancient deity who has existed since time began and dreams only of snuffing out the light of existence. You know, as you do. And after an eternity of being imprisoned within a planet, he is finally ready to escape. He is finally ready to return and force all his symbiotic children to twist and mutate into his horrific servants. Null gets this high on the list because he presents a new threat that feels like something unknown, something pure evil, and something unstoppable. I mean, this is a guy who just his shadow tore up New York City. So how powerful must the real him be? So take this threat and throw in there the fact that he adds a whole new layer to Venom's history that changes everything we knew about the character, and he became a brand new heavy hitter in the Marvel Universe the moment he appeared. Number 2, The Will. Now, The Will first appeared when Saga began, and it was clear this guy was going to be a big deal. He was going to hunt down our heroes, and we were taught early on to take him very seriously as a threat. So we spent years on this book, waiting for the day that his path would cross with our heroes. But then he kind of fell on hard times, lost the drive to fight, succumbed to drugs and addictions, and basically turned into little more than a joke. However, after being kidnapped by another hunter looking for revenge on him and torturing him for months, that was enough to get him back into fighting shape. And just in time too, because this was the year when we finally saw him confront Alana, Marco, and the rest of the crew that we had been following and falling in love with over the past couple of years, and he then proceeded to... Okay, listen, I know there's a lot of people out there still waiting for Saga to end to start reading it, or they just got into the series and they're trying to catch up, so I'm not going to ruin it for you. But let's just say that no villainous act this year hurt more than what the will did. After seeing his comeback, I actually ached and could not believe what I just saw. If he had gotten more screen time this year, he probably would have been number 1 on this list because I still can't believe what I read. By the way, if you are one of the people out there who aren't all the way caught up on Saga and you don't know what I'm talking about, don't read the comments on this video. You know how this works by now. The spoilers in comment sections are the real number 1 villain of the year. I'm just kidding. The actual number 1 villain of the year is the Legion of Doom, or more specifically, Lex Luthor. I can't lie, it kind of feels pretty good that Superman's main villain and probably the DC Universe's biggest bad guy is actually at the number 1 spot in probably forever. It just feels right. But I assure you, I'm not just putting him up here because of his name brand recognition. No, I'm putting him up here because he deserved it this year. This year, Luthor brought together a brand new Legion of Doom, and he didn't just start taking the League apart one member at a time. He did it in a bigger way than any villain before him ever has. Scott Snyder took his over-the-top imagination that he's known for, and he used it all as an arsenal for Luthor's attack on the League. And again, it's not like he just got someone stronger than the League to start beating them up. It's not like he just came up with a simple scheme. He moved the stars to defeat them. He beat the Flash by discovering the polar opposite of the Speed Force. He beat Green Lantern by uncovering a brand new spectrum of lanterns and commanded the entire planet to join it. And just to hammer this all home, he was inspired to start this when he traveled into the future, found a planet of supervillains all worshipping him as a god, and he thought, nah, I can do better than that. This year, the Lex Luthor we got was Luthor in his prime. A Luthor who reminded everyone why a mere man is a threat to the greatest heroes of the DC Universe. Thanks for tuning in for another one of our countdowns looking back at 2018. Come back next week in which we're going to count down the top 10 moments of comics in 2018, or join us for the rest of this week as we take a look at video games and movies from last year. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, Twitch, or Tumblr, you can follow us by looking up Professor Thorgy, or you can become a patron and support us over at patreon.com, where every single month you're going to get a brand new video just for the patrons. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time.